Today we're going to talk about a day that changed the world forever. And yes, it is not just December 2020. We're actually going way further back in time to an asteroid impact 66 million years ago that wiped out the dinosaurs. This is a story of the day the dinosaurs disappeared. For most of history, people had no idea how old the Earth was or even what caused the extinction of the dinosaurs. The oldest rocks on Earth are over 4 billion years old, but they are so worn down from erosion that their original features have been completely obliterated. So scientists were unable to learn much from them. And as for the younger rocks, they were continuously recycled into igneous rock, meaning there were few, if any, sedimentary rocks old enough to hold clues about our planet's ancient past. In the late 1800s, scientists began discovering fossils of bizarre extinct creatures in sedimentary rocks located in western North America and Europe. But at the time, these fossils were so poorly understood that some were split into dozens of different genera. Today, we know these creatures as dinosaurs, thanks to the work of paleontologists like Wendy Ceratobs, who has uncovered some of the best dinosaur fossils in Canada. But it was NT until 1980 that the first asteroid impact was discovered in the Yucatan Peninsula in Mexico. This crater is called Chicxulub, and it is 180 kilometers wide. And thanks to computer modeling, scientists realized that the energy released by this impact would have been more than enough to cause the mass extinction event that wiped out the dinosaurs. In order for an asteroid to cause an extinction event, three things must be true. First, the asteroid must be large enough to cause significant environmental damage. Second, it must strike at the right spot on Earth. And third, it must strike at the right angle. And the asteroid that did wipe out the dinosaurs met all of these criteria. Asteroids come in all shapes and sizes. In fact, NASA is currently tracking nearly 30,000 asteroids that are orbiting the Sun. Most of these asteroids are small, only a few meters across, but others are hundreds of kilometers wide. The asteroid that struck Earth was about 10 kilometers across. That's roughly half the width of Montana. And the asteroid known as Ceres, which lies between Mars and Jupiter, is the largest asteroid in the solar system at 950 kilometers across. But size isn't everything. An asteroid's composition also determines its mass, and the more massive an asteroid is, the more energy it will release when it impacts the Earth. Scientists estimate that the asteroid that killed the dinosaurs weighed about 10 billion trillion kilograms. For comparison, that's about 100,000 times the weight of the Eiffel Tower. In addition to being large, the asteroid also had to hit Earth at the right spot. Computer models show that if the asteroid had hit the ocean instead of land, then the resulting tsunamis would have devastated coastal regions around the world. But life would likely have continued more or less as normal. On the other hand, if the asteroid had hit a highly reflective surface like ice, then it would have been blown away before it could do much damage. And if it had hit an angle, it wouldn't have dug deep enough into the Earth's crust to cause major global effects. And finally, the asteroid that killed the dinosaurs hit Earth at just the right angle. It struck the Yucatan Peninsula at a shallow angle of 45 to 60 degrees, meaning it buried itself deep within the Earth's crust. As it plunged deeper and deeper into the planet, it released massive amounts of energy in the form of heat and light. It also ejected large amounts of dust, carbon dioxide, and sulfur compounds into the atmosphere. The initial impact generated temperatures reaching 3,000 degrees Celsius, hot enough to melt rock and vaporize water. A fireball several hundred kilometers wide instantly engulfed the region in an eerie orange glow. Eyewitnesses on land and sea would have gasped in horror as a bright white cloud rose above the horizon. Others would have marveled at the brilliant spectacle as chunks of rock rained down from the sky like a meteor shower. But the beauty was deceptive. What went up must come down. As the dust and gas began to rain back to Earth, they carried with them molten rock and pulverized limestone. These materials blanketed the landscape in a fine gray powder, blocking out the sun and plunging the world into darkness. People huddled together for warmth as temperatures plummeted 18 degrees Celsius below zero. Within weeks, the air grew stale and unbreathable as sulfur compounds formed sulfuric acid. Rain fell from the sky, burning the flesh off anyone unfortunate enough to be caught outside. And this apocalyptic nightmare didn't end after a few days or even a few weeks. The impact triggered a series of volcanic eruptions that persisted for months. These eruptions spewed even more dust and gases into the atmosphere, intensifying the darkness and prolonging the global winter. Plants withered and died as photosynthesis ground to a halt. Herbivores starved to death or were slaughtered by predators, and carnivores were left with nothing to eat. At first, the oceans teemed with life as fish and marine reptiles feasted on the carcasses of dead birds and mammals that fell from the sky. But soon the waters turned cold and the food supply dwindled. Fish and marine reptiles began to die in massive numbers. Those that survived retreated to the deepest waters where they could escape the frigid temperatures and the darkness. And at the end of it all, only a handful of species survived the global cataclysm, including birds, small mammals, some reptiles, and a few species of amphibians and fish. One particularly resilient group of animals was the crocodilians, which includes crocodiles, alligators, and These animals are well adapted to survive in both aquatic and terrestrial environments. They can also regulate their body temperature, allowing them to thrive in a wide range of climates. Finally, crocodiles are opportunistic feeders, meaning they will eat almost anything they can catch. All these adaptations allowed them to survive the asteroid impact and flourish in the aftermath. Birds, on the other hand, were particularly vulnerable because most of them were large, flightless dinosaurs. But a few small bird-like dinosaurs managed to survive by adapting to life on the ground. These survivors eventually gave rise to modern birds. And while the asteroid impact devastated life on Earth, it also created opportunities for new species to evolve. For example, the impact triggered the largest mass extinction in the history of multicellular life, killing off about 75% of all plant and animal species. This event cleared the way for mammals to diversify and eventually dominate the planet. But the asteroid impact wasn't the only thing that affected life on Earth. Around the same time, the continents began to drift apart, dramatically altering the planet's climate and causing the formation of new mountain ranges. These changes paved the way for the evolution of new species, including early humans, and in the end, it was these changes that led to the world we live in today. While the asteroid impact had a devastating short-term effect on life on Earth, it ultimately led to the evolution of new species and the formation of the world we live in today. Without this cataclysmic event, who knows what creatures might have roamed the planet and what challenges they might have faced. But one thing is for sure, the story of the day the dinosaurs disappeared is a reminder of the power of nature and the resilience of life in the face of disaster. Thanks for watching. If you liked this video, please subscribe for more content like this. Also check out our new video on why birds are considered dinosaurs. And remember to stay curious.